प्रेम से बोले श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय। Putting the hands together, closing the physical eyes, we all pray. Om Gajananam Bhutaganaadisevitam Kapita Jambho Palasarabhakshanam Umasutam Shokavinashikarkam Namami Vigneshwar Parapankajam Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Saraswati Rupena Sanskritam Namastasye 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 Namo Namah Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaram Gurur Sakshat Parang Brahma Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Nagindrahara Trilochanaya Bhashma Grigaya Maheshwaraya Nityaya Shudaya Digam Bharaya Tasmai Nakaraya Namah Shivaya Om Anjani Garbhasan Mukho Vayu Putro Mahabam Kumaro Brahmachari Cha Hanuman Me Prasidhamim Om Bhurbhuvasvam Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasyam Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonam Prachodayam Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhanaktu Saha Vidyam Karavabhahem Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mahavidvishabhahem Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Prem se bole Shri Ramchandra Bhagwan ki. So Parvati will now lead us in Hanuman Chalisa.
Shri Guru Charana Saroj Raja Nijamana Mukura Sudhar Barno Raghuvara Vimala Jasa Jodhayaka Phalachar Buddhahin Tanu Janike Sumiro Pavana Kumar Balabudhi Vidya Deho Mohi Harahu Kalesha Vikar Jai Hanuman Gyan Gun Sagar Jai Kapishta Lok Ujagar Ramaduta Tulika Bharadhama Anjani Putra Pavan Sutanama Mahavira Vikram Bajrangi Kumati Nivara Sumati Ke सहस भदन तुम्हरो यश गावै हर्ष कई श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सनकादिक ब्रह्मचारी मुनीषा नारद सायन सहित हरीशा यम को विगनि गपाल जहाते कहि को विधि कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाए राजवर दीना तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण मारा
सब जग
जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु
लीलो ताहि मधुर परदानु
प्रभु मुद्रिका बिन मुख माही
जल गिरांग गए अचरज नाही
दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते
सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते
राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे
होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे
सब सुख रहे तुम्हारी शरणा
तुम रक्षक काहू को धरना
आपन तेज संहारो आपै
तीनहु लोक हाथ के
भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे
महावीर जब नाम सुनावे
नाशै रोग हरै सब पीरा
जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा
संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावै
मन क्रम भजन ज्ञान जो लावे
सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा
इनके काट सकल तुम काजा
और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै
सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे
चारों युग पर ताप तुम्हारा
हे प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा
साधु संत के तुम रखवाले
असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे
अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता
असबर दीन जानकी माता
राम सायन तुम्हारे पासा
सदा रहो रघुपति के दाता
तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावै
जन्म जन्म की दुख बिसरावे
अंत काल रघुवर पुर जाए
जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाए
और देवता चेत न रहे
हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई
संकट कटे सब पीरा जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई
कृपा करो गुरुदेव की नाई
जो सुन पार पात
Pawan Putra Hanuman ki Jai. So, devotees and friends, Sitaram to one and all, and welcome to this wonderful 5 evenings of devotion. And this 5 evenings of devotion is intention and its focus is on our journey that we had, which we started, I think was somewhere around the 24th of November 2020. And it led us to Tuesday being 108 Tuesdays. And we have completed 107, and Tuesday will be 108. And all those who started the journey and have reached to the end with the journey, it's all because of Bhagwan's grace, Hanumanji's blessing. It was sometimes challenging, but yet still, each session was very enjoyable, even though when we had to go virtual. So this evening again, I have chosen a wonderful katha to commence these few evenings of devotion, which will once more lead us straight into Tuesday and probably beyond. Putting the hands together, closing the physical eyes, we all pray. Om Jehi Sumirat Jehi Sumirat Siddha Prem se bole Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan ki. So devotees and friends, reflecting, and you look back from the first day on that 24th of November 2020 and the journey that we have taken to this day, what have I really learned? And when I say learn, not just only understand. We'll understand everything, but we can really only know what it is when we practice it. You can understand very well how to drive a motor car and all the ins and out of, there are some passenger drivers, they're even better than the driver because they see more than not of it. Right. So my dear friends, the point is, you might have the whole knowledge about driving, what is right, all the regulations and everything. But if you don't hold the steering wheel and drive the motor car, you will not have that experience. You would not have that bliss of driving the motor car. So we would have understand all the scriptures coming, 108 sessions more, because we had some, in between we had few nights to compensate if we had to slip a little bit. And my dear friends, we understand everything. But when they have the L on the motor car, what it is? It means the driver is, it is holding the steering under the guidance of the instructor. Similarly, my dear friends, our practice must always be under the guidance of that instructor, who in Sanatan Dharam we refer to as the Guru. Prem se bole Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan ki jai. So before I commence Katha, we'll have a bhajan by Parvati and then we'll see how we get with the Katha. Ravi, you all right? I ain't seen the smile on your face.
राम रमेति रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम ततुल्यम् राम नाम वनारि रे. So Hanuman ji is singing this bhajan for the heirs of Sita Mata, given her the katha of Shri Ram. Ram Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram. Ram Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram. Ram Ram Siya Ram Bhaj Le Ram Ram Siya Ram. Bhaj Ram Ram Siya Ram. Bhaj Ram Ram Siya Ram. Ram Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram.
Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram.
Ram Ram Siya Ram Bhaj Le Ram Ram Siya Ram. Bhaj Ram Ram Siya Ram. Bhaj Ram Ram Siya Ram.
Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Bhaj Ram. Ram Ram Siya Ram Bhaj Ram Ram Siya Ram. Bhaj Ram Ram Siya Ram. Ram Ram Siya Ram.
धर्म काज पृथ्वी पर आए, दशरथ जी के पुत्र कहाए. जनकपुरी में शिव धनु तोरा, सती सिया संग नाता जोरा.
नाटा चोरा नाटा चोरा.
हो सिया पिया वर राम प्रभु, कहलाए सीता राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम, राम राम भज राम राम, भज राम राम भज राम, राम राम सिया राम, भज ले राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम। पिता वचन के पालन हारे, राजपात तव भन कस धारे, विश्वामित्र यज्ञा लखवाला, सती अहिल्या तारन हारे, औ पंचवती को बना दिया एक राज धर्म का धाम, भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम, राम राम भज राम राम, भज राम राम भज राम, राम राम सिया राम, भज ले राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम। असुरों को संहार तार कर, सेना सहित चले लंका पर, अभिमानी रावण को मारा, सीता को संकट से उबारा, और राम राज को गया देश में, गुन गाए हनुमान, भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम, राम राम भज राम राम, भज राम राम भज राम, राम राम सिया राम, भज ले राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम 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 भज राम, राम से भरा राम का नाम, राम से भरा राम का नाम, राम से भरा राम का नाम।
प्रेम से बोले श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। प्रेम से बोले श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। मुनि अनुहरी सुभरी गुण गण गनी मन अन हावई। Devotees and friends, सुमिरी भवानी शंकर ही कहा कभी कथा सुहाई. It says that Shiva Bhagwan is telling to Parvati, and he's relating and he's saying that Tulsidas ji has given a very in-depth explanation of the significance of that Sarju river joining together with the Ganga. But he says after all of this have done and was done, it says that Tulsidas ji, remembering Parvati Devi and Shankar Bhagwan, started to give this katha, the katha of Prabhu Shri Ram. It says here that Tulsidas ji, my dear friends, placed in his heart the lotus-like feet of Shri Ram. And after doing this, he seeks and secures the grace of Bhagwan. Devotees and friends, Tulsidas ji, a great poet, but one, my dear friends, for whatever be the reason, and we all know the reason that Tulsidas ji had given up everything and start walking the path of divinity. We don't want to go in that katha this evening. But he have been able to attain himself to the highest peak of realization. And from this realization, my dear friends, he is giving to us these wonderful words, these wonderful nectar-like lines, so that you and I can take and actually lead our lives. We are coming to the end of a session. And I'm now talking about the beginning of the session. But Tulsidas ji, my dear friends, before commencing this katha, or before starting to relate this katha of Prabhu Shri Ram, it says he seeks the blessings of Shri Ram. And not just seek the blessings of Shri Ram, but he secured the blessings of Shri Ram. He ensured that he had that of Shri Ram within. So many of us, we seek, but we do not secure. We do the devotion, but do we secure? Do we take charge? Do we really protect that which we seek? My dear friends, you can seek out and earn, but you need to secure. If you don't secure what you earn, then my dear friends, as it says, as come it goes. But Tulsidas ji says, he seek out the blessings of Shri Ram and secured his blessing. Prem se bole Shri Ramchandra Bhagwan ki jai. And then he starts now commencing his katha. Jai Ram Sita Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama.
Jai Rama, Jai Rama, Jai
की भरद्वाज मुनि बस ही प्रयाग तीन ही राम पधा अति अनुराग. So it tells to us, and this is Tulsidas ji starts narrating now. He's saying Bharadwaj Muni, that great sage, he resides in that place known as Prayag. However, that great sage, Bharadwaj Muni, was extremely devoted to the lotus-like feet of Sri Ram. Teenhi Ram Padha Ati Anuraga. The words cannot, my dear friends, describe his feelings of love towards the lotus-like feet of Sri Rama. Tapasa samadhama daya nidhana. And this is very important. So Tulsidas ji have told to us that he have seek and secure the blessings of Sri Ram. And he using Bharadwaj Muni now to direct to us and to tell to us how we can secure the blessings of Sri Ram in our own life. And so he is saying, Tapas sam dham dhaya nidhana. He is saying that tapas is intense sacrifice and devotion, ascetic life. So devotees and friends, to start with, Tulsidas ji is telling to us that to secure that blessings of Bhagwan Sri Ram, one must be willing to make the necessary sacrifices. He says one must be self-restrained. One must be able to restrain himself what that is telling to us. Man must be in control. You must be in control of this mind. We have all the laws of the land. We have the laws of our parents. We have the laws of our guru to restrain this physical body from doing the wrong things. But my dear friends, what do we really have to bring this mind of ours into that state that we can direct it what to do, when to do, and how to do it? Restraining ourselves from certain things, my dear friends, does not mean to say that we must totally discard it from our lives. No, that is not what it means. Self-restraint means that you know when to do it, how to do it, and why you're doing it. And that, my dear friends, Bharadwaj Muni had fully within him. Bharadwaj Muni was not lacking in any way of that self-restraint. Then it says, one must have composure of the mind. Your mind must be strong, your mind must be in its right concept, in the right composition. Meaning, my dear friends, the mind is such that whatever it have, it present it into actions. So if your mind has that proper composure for the Lord, my dear friends, this is what Tulsidas Ji is saying. Bharadwaj Muni was able to be master of his mind and not the mind, or being a slave to the mind. And the question is being asked, have we secured Bhagwan in our life? Have we secured over this 108 weeks, days of devotion, have we secured Bhagwan into our lives? If we have secured Bhagwan into our lives, we will have self-restraint, self-control. If we have Bhagwan into our lives, my dear friends, our mind will be channeling towards the lotus-like feet of Bhagwan. And finally, he says, we must have full compassion. So that is what it says here. Sama Dham Daya. Sama and Dhamma is not just self-control of the mind, but it is also self-control of the senses, of what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Children of God, they are compassion. And here when we talk about compassion, we are not talking about compassion of just your family. Do you have compassion for all the beings of the world? And I remember just sometime late last year, visiting Guru at home, the children, myself and Primiti. And he was giving us the katha of how his dog got sick, how he carried the dog by the vet, and how he could not save the dog, and the cremation that he had for the dog. He said he had full cremation rights for the dog. Why? He said because that is a being, not the katha of the dog that I am very concerned about. My message this evening from Guru to you is that everything up to the animal, the plant, is a being, B-E-I-N-G, and we must take care of it. And this is what Tulsidas Ji is also telling us here today. This is the compassion. But what happens? The tree does not give you the amount of zabuka that you want. So you go and you threaten the tree. Now, if you don't bear for me as I want, I'm going to cut you down. But you forget the tree does not only have the responsibility of giving you the zabuka fruit, but that might be the only plant around your house to absorb the carbon dioxide that you let out. We never see it like that, no? It ain't giving me what I want, man, cutlass for it, down the road, axe, throw it down. So my dear friends, when it says compassion, when Tulsidas Ji is talking about compassion, he says Bharadwaj, who live in this Prayag, and we'll hear about the Prayag soon, He says there, he was very compassionate. animals, trees, plants. Swami Abhirananda gave into one of his lectures, I have read, where he said that while he was doing tapas on the bank of the river, he says sometimes every 2-3 days they get a piece of dry bread. He said he will take a piece of the dry bread and he'll put it in his hands in the water, and he said the fishes will come and eat, partake of that bread from his hands. And he said they can do that for the same reason that the lion and the lamb could have lived together in the days of Jesus Christ as the shepherd. Why? Because it says his vibration, that which was emanating from him, was peace, was love. And the fishes feel that vibration. So if the fishes and the plants feel the vibration, my dear friends, then tell to me, isn't it a being? Isn't it something that we need to take care of? And if we do this, then that love will be projecting from us. Prem se bole Shri Ramchandra Bhagavan ki. So that Lord, that Bharadwaj was highly spiritual. Highly spiritual. He didn't say highly religious. Religious is a routine which we have to take ourselves to that point of spiritual. In religion, we deal with the relative mode, relations. But my dear friends, in spirituality, you deal with self-control and ahimsa. In spirituality, these are the two key: self-control and ahimsa. And we see these things embedded here in the life of Bharadwaj Muni. He had that self-restraint. He was, the composure of his mind was he was full of compassion. So that created him to be highly spiritual. Let us listen again as the katha continues. Jai Ram Sita Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Sri Rama Jaya
Rama Jaya Jaya Rama.
Magama Karagat Ravi Jaba Tira माग मकर गत रवि जब हुई तीरथपति ही अव सब खोई. Devotees and friends, it tells to us Bharadwaj lives in Prayag. We'll get to know about Prayag pretty soon. And so, my dear friends, Prayag for now is the king of all Tirth places, is the best of all the Tirth places. It says, and in the month of Magh, which when that astrological or geological position of the sun getting into the path of Capricorn to start its journey back northwards, it tells to us in that month all the saints and the sages gathered at one gut. A gut, my dear friends, is a place prepared on the riverbank to perform devotion. Which gut they went to? Makar Gut. And that's the name that is given to the month, in this, and you call it Makar Sankranti. This has plenty of other understanding of astrological and geological. But my dear friends, my point this evening, if we want to understand the astrological and the geological, you have enough information to get that on the internet. But the point this evening is within that month of Magh. It's a whole month. My dear friends, when the Rashi is Makar Rashi, devotees and friends, all the saints and sages gather in Prayag for one particular purpose. And that purpose, my dear friends, is to take their bath and perform their devotion and tapas throughout that month. It tells to us, everyone visit the chief of holy places, Prayag. He said troops of gods, demons, kinnaras, demigods, and men all devoutly bathe in that which is known as the Triveni. The Triveni, my dear friends, is the Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. That is where that three rivers meet. So in this holy month, we celebrate it on the 14th, because on the 14th, in and around that period in January, marks the end of the winter and the beginning of spring. My dear friends, the summer comes. When the summer comes, there's heat and fire. And then you hear of the falls. The fall, my dear friends, is when all the leaves of the tree been scorched by this, the summer. And so now it drops out all the leaves. And then it comes and take a heavy beating of the winter. And then the spring comes again. And all the trees, my dear friends, rise. All the leaves start coming back for the purpose of taking you, yours and mine, gases, the carbon dioxide that we can. They come for their beauty, they come to serve their purpose. So the springtime is a renewal time, it's a refreshing time. So all the sages, after living their entire life, the entire year, giving of service to humanity. Because my dear friends, if it is not for some of those saints that we have doing their tapas and penance, whichever part of the world, this world could not have sustained itself up to this point in time. So here the Katha is telling us, the saints and sages, they give of their life for 11 months on this 12th month, the month of Magh. This is where now the sun takes it, the journey goes back to the north. The whole universe swing back north. And one of the reasons for it, my dear friends, astrologically tells to us that the sun and the moon were partners. And something happened between them. Let's not go into what happened. But the moon says she wants equal share of the planets. So you have the moon and the sun being 2. So you had 10 other planets to go with. The moon took 5 in reverse, and the sun took 5 forward. So the moon took, on this side, the first one was Mercury. So the moon is Karka Rashi. And the sun is Simha Rashi. After Simha Rashi, going forward, is Kanya Rashi. Kanya Rashi, which is Mercury. Going back here, after the moon coming back, is Mithun Rashi, which is also Mercury. So they subdivide it into 2 parts. Then it come back and you go to Venus. Venus on one side is Tula Rashi, the next one on this side is Vrishik Rashi. Vrishab or Vrishik, one out of it. Then you come back now, and you come back on this side, you have Mesh Rashi, and you have the Mars, 2 Mars here. I think this one is Vrishik, Mars, Scorpio. And you have on this side, Mesh Rashi. And then come back again, now you have Jupiter on both sides. Sagittarius, which is Dhan Rashi, and on this side, you mean my own one I can't remember? Yeah, Meen Rashi. And then you reach now closer now, where you have the Makar Rashi, and after Makar Rashi is there's the name for Aquarius boy, Kumbha Rashi, and that is the tooth. So my dear friends, when the universe reach at that point, nobody ain't going to tread in nobody's path. So they turn back. And that's how the universe start moving back north. So that nobody will infringe on anybody's path. And that as may be, my dear friends, this is one of the most auspicious moments. Why? Because it is a turn. It is a period where we can make our necessary changes. And so, the saints and the sages use this month to lift themselves. Prem se bole Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan ki. So they come here and recharge themselves to get back to do their task for the next 11 months. Prem se bole Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan ki. It says, however, they all took their bath into the Triveni. And what is this Triveni that we talk about? Prem se bole Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan ki. Prabhu Shri Tulsi Das ji quite nicely explained in the beginning of Balkand of this. Jai Ram Sita Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama Mudham Angalamaya Sant Majo Jo Jag Jangamati Rat Ajo Jai Rama Sita Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Jai Rama Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Bhakti Jahan Rama Bhakti Jahan Surasari Mara Sarasai Brahman Bichara Karma Katha Ravi Nandani Hara Jai Rama Sita Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Mudha Mangala Maya Santa Samaju. Joyful, happy is that feelings when we are in the company of the saints. Jo Jagat Jagam Tirata Raju. It says, and where will you find that? You will find that at the Tirata Raju. You'll find that, my dear friends, where that Tree River, that Triveni, as we talk in the Katha, that Triveni, the Triveni is the Ganga, the Yamuna, and the Saraswati. But here, my dear friends, Tulsi Das ji tells to us, so we just can't understand it as a physical place. He says, Rama Bhakti Jahang Surasari Dhara. He said that devotion to the lotus-like feet of Sri Ram. And we are doing Ramayana here, so we'll say Sri Ram. But my dear friends, devotion towards the lotus-like feet of the Lord. That is your Ganga. That is where you will find the Ganga. Tells us again, my dear friends, the Lord tells to us, to those who worship me, think of none other than me, who is always at my lotus-like feet. He says, I provide them gain and security. So those who, my dear friends, have this Rama Bhakti, this devotion for the lotus-like feet of the Lord, you are guaranteed by the Lord, not by me saying this. You are guaranteed by the Lord of gain and security. So what we need to do into our lives, we need to allow this bhakti, we need to allow this love for God to manifest and pervade our lives. And then there is no fear. The first form of divine, the characteristic of being a divine person is to be fearless. And to be fearless, my dear friends, you must not have anything hanging over your head. You know how many politicians today does have to compromise the truth because they have so many things over their head? How many human beings? How many of us in our homes? Because of the type of actions that we perform and all that we have hanging over our head, we cannot surrender ourselves to God. So my dear friends, it tells to us, admit that this entire world is the Lord's manifestation. And that's an easy thing to say, but it's a very difficult thing to attain. Again, I give some reference again from Narad Bhakti, and it tells to us, it says, whichever means an aspirant chooses, meaning that whichever means or whichever method an aspirant is an adhikari, a devotee, choose, he has to strive. And the first thing you have to strive towards is not getting the relative aspect of it holding on to the Lord's feet. It says that the first thing that the devotee have to choose is to strive not to fall within the natural fascinations of sense objects. And you can do this by keeping away from the sense functioning. One develops nobler ways. Devotees and friends. But he tells to us, he says all this is good, but how it comes? What are the methods to keep away these sense objects? And he says, Naradji emphasizes in Narad Bhakti that the ancient masters, he's not telling just about himself. He's saying the ancient masters. And Narad is ancient, so when he say ancient, he's saying the ancient masters use singing as a means, spontaneously singing the glories of God. He says, and this starts, when you sing the name of God, it must bring a joy of its own to you. This is what he says. Just by singing the glories of God, it brings a certain joy into your life. It has that embedded qualities, chanting. That is why Prabhu Shri Ram tells to us, he says, this age, Kakbasunji was telling to Garud, he said, this age of Kali is the storehouse of all impurities. And we see it. Hate, greed, anger, jealousy, backbiting, backstabbing, backtalking. This is the world, this is where it is. So when someone will speak you and so on, do not allow that to disturb you. Why? Because this is the age for it. It will happen in this age. But he says that in this age where impurities is a storehouse of all impurities, it says it is the easiest age to get moksha, or God's realization. How? Ram Sumiran, chanting the name of Sri Ram. Here, my dear friends, that comes from Ramayana, Uttarakhand. Here, Narad is from his Narad Bhakti Sutras is telling to us. He says that the ancient masters also use singing, which has a joy of its own. Thus, my dear friends, Narad Bhakti continues to highlight and to give the importance of sadhana to evolve yourself and develop yourself, to evolve and to develop in devotion. He says sadhana is very, very important. What this sadhana does, it says here that sadhana does two things. Sadhana is to develop detachment and thereafter withdrawal from all that belongs to the senses and the sense pleasures. Second, it gives to us attachment to the supreme thought, a selfless total surrender to the Lord. So Narad explains that when we have detachment to the worldly things, so what will happen? The same worldly tree that we might see ain't giving us no zabuka, so it's a bad thing, cut him down. No, you have to start to see now the purpose that God have placed the tree there. So you must see God into the tree. The dog that come and bite up your slippers and all of that, you must see God into the dog. So that is his nature, to bite your slippers. What are you beating the dog for? When you as a human being has the capacity of the power of choice, and you choose to do so much wrong things, and you get no licks, you get no punishment. Prem Sabal Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan Ki Jai. So my dear friends, Narad is telling to us again, one of the hindrance in bhakti is when we say that we cannot live without such objects and beings. Some of us say, Baba, listen, I'm willing to do the Ganesh Vrat, but I can't live without the meat. Baba wants to do this, but I can't live without it. My dear friends, Narad is telling to us, he said that which we say that, it says that becomes from the egocentric desires. So it says to do that, we have to give up such attachment to that ego. It says when the source of attachment changes, one gets self-sufficient and centered in the Supreme. This is a process. It does not happen by guess. So my dear friends, Narad Bhakti again tells to us the right attitude is important. That attitude sometimes we have. Man, I ain't going to listen to Pandit today. I'll sit down here in the chair, but I will do what I had to do. I'm not listening to you. So my dear friends, it tells to us here again that Triveni, Saraswati, Sai, Abraham, Bichara, Prachara. So it says the second river in the Triveni is the Saraswati. And the Saraswati is the knowledge of Brahman. And that is what I was talking to you all on Tuesday evening about. The devotee, the true aspirant. When he knows not God, he does not know the beings, and he does not know even himself. That is the true aspirant. That is the true seeker. That's the true devotee. Why? I was listening to Swami from the Ramakrishna Mandir. I can't remember his name now. Or Sarva Priyananda. Wonderful set of discourses. Moving us, my dear friends, from the path of relativeness, where we attach ourselves to the murtis and everything else, and bringing us to the state of Brahman, oneness. He was showing to us how that state of relativeness is the second stage. So you need to go to the murtis, but when you go to the murti, he said, don't stop praying to your murtis. He said, but when you go to the murti, what you must see, you must not just see the murti, you must see the Brahman, the same in the murti as with you. And that's the state we need to reach. But my dear friends, as it states, it is a process. That Brahman always exists. It's always here. And he gave a nice example. Swami Sarva Priyananda. And he says, if I have to make a journey to God, I want you all to listen to this good. He says, and because I see, the greatness into this line. He says, if you have to make a journey to God, it means that God is someplace. Not so, Candy? If I have to make a journey to God, it means that God is someplace. So I save here now. I could do what I want. Is that true? Can you do what you want? No. Our scriptures tell us, Ramayana again tells to us. He said, not even a blade of grass moves without the grace and energy of that Supreme Lord. That is the Brahman, that is the Ishwar, that is the Saraswati, that is the knowledge that we must have. To reach that, Narad Bhakti says, yes. Not Narad Bhakti, Kindle of Life tells to us wonderful teachings of Swami Chinmayananda. It tells to us that, my dear friends, when you look at the trees and the plants and the animals and everything else, you must see them all as equal beings. Prince Srinam Chandra Bhagavani Ki Jai. That is the Brahman. Wherever you go, wherever you walk. And I remember again, when Guruji gave me that mala, I was just about 12 years old. And he said, Vishnu, watch the ground when you walk from now. Why? Because if there is an ant there that have life, if you mash it and kill it, you have to pay a karma for it. So when somebody used the bop, this karma you have to pay. Prem se bole Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavani ki. But he says sometimes you have to endure some karma to clear the path to move ahead. So if the ants biting your foot when you're doing meditation, you can't leave it there. So you have to endure whatever karma it is for killing the ants to make sure that you're comfortable to take yourself. So my dear friends, I'm showing you the networking, how it happens. This is how it happens. And then it says here, Bidhi Nishesha Dhamaya Kalimalharani. It says that there is a bidhi, there is a process by which to get yourself out of this entanglement, harani, of Kalimal. There is a process to get yourself out of the, the impurities of this Kali age. And he says what? Karma Katha Ravinandan Bharani. He said we must all sit down and discuss that katha, the katha of karma. How karma works in our life. Tells to us, do as I tell to you, sometimes you have to endure some karmic pressures to ensure that you lift yourself spiritually. Prem Sri Ram Chandra Bhagavan ki jai. Katha. So it says here again, Triveni, right? Jai Ram Sita Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Yatra So these saints and sages, my dear friends, remember this whole katha is emanating around where that divine Lord, it is showing to us here in Prayag, where Bharadwaj Muni has his ashram, you know. Bharadwaj Ashram Atipavan. So it tells to us here that there at the ashram of Bharadwaj, they worship the lotus-like feet of the Lord which rules over Prayag, which is known as Vindhu Madhava. Vindhu Madhava. It tells to us. And there, my dear friends, that presiding deity is been giving its homage. And this is the reason why every area has a presiding deity which we must appease if we are going to do our devotion. In our regular puja, you will hear that Pandit will be saying, Om Sristhyan Devataye Namah Swaha. That is for the presiding deity of the land where the puja is taking place. So, devotees and friends, it tells to us. It says there that this place where the sages and everybody come is like that immortal, banyan tree. The banyan tree, my dear friends, always bow down and has that long life. Prem Sabole Shri Ramchandra Bhagavan ki. It is amazing thing to see a full-grown banyan tree. The full-grown banyan tree, the branches are here, but from the branches, the roots go down to the ground. What it means? What is the root of a plant? The root of a plant, my dear friends, is to hold the plant together, to keep the plant upright. So why the banyan tree becomes an example for us? As I said, looking at the banyan tree, the roots, yes, you have the roots below, but they're also coming from the branches. It comes down and goes into the ground. So it means every aspect of that tree is well protected. So when you devote yourself to God, this is what it says before, that the Lord will give you gain and security. And that is what the banyan tree entails. That is what it has. That is what the roots afford itself. Because it's not at the bottom alone. If it was at the bottom alone, the reinforcement was at the bottom. If the top gets some pressure, problem, it will capsize. But when the top is reinforced and the below is reinforced, how is it going to throw? So too, my dear friends, you must reinforce your life at the lotus-like feet of Bhagwan, and you will be like that banyan tree. Prem Sabole Shri Ram, in the last verse tells to us, it says here that at this ashram of Bharadwaj, it says here, a most sacred spot, exceedingly charming and attractive. It says, even to great hermits, and to the haunt of sages and seers, who go to bathe there in the holiest place. It says, and at daybreak, they all perform their duties and religious flavors, and then converse together on the virtues of Sri Hari. It says, as the Doha tells to us to conclude because time is running out. वर नहीं कही भक्ति भगवान की संजुत ज्ञान मेरा धन की जय So after they have paid their homage and do their puja to Bhagwan and talk a little bit about God in the relative form. So don't believe the saints and the sages give up these. No. They don't. It says because after their devotion and everything else, and they do their puja and so on in the morning, they talked about Sri Hari. Sri Hari is a form of Lord Vishnu. But after that, what happens? Satsang commences. Satsang then starts after that. So we believe satsang is to start 6 o'clock in the evening. When they do their morning sandhya, satsang starts every day for that entire month. And what they talk about? They talk about the bidhi of dharma. What is dharma? Dharma, my dear friends, are the sustaining laws of everything that we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Everything that we perceive. There is a bidhi of sustenance. Everything that we use, my dear friends, there is a law. There is a rule of law for every single thing that we use. How often do we break that rule of law? So, my dear friends, it says here, they sit down and they discuss those rules of sustenance. And then they talked about the Brahman. That Brahman, my dear friends, the nature of that supreme eternal being. And that is what we need to talk about in this Kali age to help us to bring back Ram Sumiran. And it says that Ram Sumiran, Ramayana says it, Narad Bhakti said, Bhagavad Gita said that chanting the name of the Lord is what will help us. So it says here, they discuss all of this. They discuss the dharmic, the religion, the classification of fundamental entities that emanate from devotion. This is what they discuss. And the Lord coupled with spiritual enlightenment and dispassion. You go to any yajna now, any place of satsang. After the satsang, very few people will get together to discuss what emanated out of the satsang. The socialization comes way beyond the satsang. Prem Simul Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan Ki. So remember, my dear friends, our journey, and I should not say our journey, but our quest when we talk about bhakti devotion is to understand the Brahman and live into the Brahman. And I leave you with Swami Priyananda, nice example. If we have to journey to God, then we're safe now. But he says, the reality is that it is one. God is here, one with all of us. Prem Sabal Shri Ram Chandra Bhagavan Ki Jai. So Pandit Jai will lead us in Havan and then he will lead us into Arti. All they do have one already. So RT now. Coconut and RT. Come by you. One all just put the ammonium down before Jaina. Everybody get your coconut. Oh yeah. Ay, ay, ay. Let us all pray. As we ask of this divine Lord to grace and grant unto us continuing growth, success, and understanding of that which is our goal, understanding and becoming one, not knowing God, not knowing the beings, not even knowing ourselves, being totally saturated into the absolute. And that's the final goal. Being with the absolute. We pray. Om Sri Krishna Krishna Sagyai Pavitya Mamasya Vidyar Pradve Sri Dvala Kalipati Saptami Vaivas Manvantar Kalipatam Charane Jambu Dvipe West Indies Kande Arvatarike Desh Antargate Trinidad Desh Hari Om Sri. Call your place where you live. Om Sri Chetre Grami Bhautavataritad Parhi Namo Narayanaye Namo Namaha. But you are making this prayer now from 56 Mapipi Road. Om Sri 56 Mapipi Road Chetre Grami Bhautavataritad Parhi Namo Narayanaye Namo Namaha. Om Sri Anjani Garbhasan Mukho Vayu Putro Mahabal Kumaro Brahmacharicha Hanuman me Prasidha me, your name Namayaham, whatever wish you have for Hanumanji, make it now. Daihik Daivik Bhautik Tapatrayam Nirva Martya Devik Rarishimani Madhava. Om Sri Pavanaputra Hanuman Ki. Kraken Arti time.
Rama Jaya Rama Shri Ram Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Ritamashtkanjali Vashpavi Purna Lochana Maruti Namarachakam Arati ki jai Hanuman Nilala ki Arati ki jai Hanuman Nilala ki Irati Karitala Nidati Apriti Arati ki jai Hanuman धीर रघुनाथ पधाया लंका जरे सुर सिद्धि लाया श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय श्री राम जय जय राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की
श्री राम जय जय राम
हरि राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम
श्री राम जय जय राम लंका से मोती समुद्र दिखाया जाता पवन सुत वरनाया
जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम
जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम
जय राम श्री राम लंका जरे असुर अस्यासि हनुमान कवच गौतम तस्या ब्रह्म ऋषि गायत्री छंदा हनुमान देवतम लंका जरे सुरा संहारे सिया राम जी के काज सवारे
श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम
जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय
जय राम
श्री राम
जय जय राम
श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम लक्ष्मण मूर्छित पदे सखाये राम 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 सीता राम 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 सीता राम हरे 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 राम 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 सीता राम राम आनस जीवन प्राण पारे आनस जीवन
Children of God, the name of Ram outstands all. And Bharadwaj Muni asks of Yajnavalak at the end of this katha that, dear Lord, that what else? There are 4 types of people striving to God. One of those, however, is to reach the Kashi, to die, so that you can have realization. And it tells to us that at Kashi, where Lord Shiva resides, and you want to reach there so that to die there, it says, Bhagwan Shankar chants in the name, in the ears of the dying person, Jai Ram, the name of Ram. With the name of Sri Ram today, we pray for all those who are sick, those who are not well. One of those is Umar, his grandmother. She has an operation in New York, and that's why he's not here. He left last night to New York. And he sent a message this evening and saying that she's not doing all that well. Let us all join together firstly and make that special name, Sri Ram, that prayer which we will send to Omar and his family together with his grandmother there in New York. Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Saint Keshwar Dasi constantly chanting Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram will heal and will help all from whatever difficulties they may be experiencing. Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Whatever difficulties you may be experiencing, chant to Shri Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. 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 Om Asatoma Satgamayam Tamasoma Jyotirgamayam Mrityormam Amritam Gamayam. Om Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandho Cha Sika Tvameva Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Oh Bhagwan, you are everything. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Hari Om. पवन पुत्र हनुमान की, रामचंद्र भगवान की, शंकर भगवान की, आदिशक्ति देवी दुर्गा माता की, सनातन धर्म की, ओम श्री गुरु देवता की जय जय सीताराम. All please have your seat. Arti and Prasad will come to you, and your refreshment for the evening will also meet you at your seat. Sitaram all.